Good afternoon. I'm Spot On Weather meteorologist Matthew Euler. Welcome to my latest video. In this video, I'm going to take a look at the similarities and the comparisons between the fall time period of 2000 and the fall time period of 2005. I will then also show what the winter of 2001 what it looked like, and then I will also show the latest Teleconnections update. All right, so let's start with the similarities in this video. I just wanted to throw some slides together and kind of show everybody what we're looking at here. All right, so we have sea surface temperature anomalies on both of these charts here on the slide. Wherever you see the blue color, that indicates below normal or cooler than average water temperatures. Whenever you see the yellows and the oranges, that indicates above normal water temperatures. So let's examine, now we're going to look at December. This is December 2000 on the left-hand side, okay? So it's not quite matching up with where we're at right now, right? As far as the time goes. This is actually December of 2000. Look at where the water was warmer than normal there, northwest of the Hawaiian Islands. And then we saw this cooler than normal patch of water, generally from just east of Siberia, across the northwestern Pacific Ocean, right on over to the north central Pacific Ocean. And then we saw a central based La Nina there, cooler than normal water temperatures across the tropical central Pacific. Above normal water temperatures there to the north of Taiwan, east of Taiwan, just general in the vicinity of the Philippines in general. And now let's look at the right-hand graphic here. Now this is 30 October 2025 water temperature anomaly depiction. Now let's look to see if we have some similarities in the December 2000 on the left and the current late October 2025 here on the right. All right, so we see above normal water temperatures generally to the northwest of the Hawaiian Islands, across the northwestern Pacific, and the north central Pacific area right now today here at the end of October 2025. Now we do see that we did have some above normal water temperatures northwest of the Hawaiian Islands as well in December of 2000 on the left. So still, not exactly, the placement of the warmer than normal water temperature anomalies, not exactly completely matched, if you look at it. But we also have to take into account that these waters across the northwestern and north central Pacific are going to cool down further. And you see here on the right-hand graphic how I have blue patches now south of the Kamchatka Peninsula, as well as I have blue area now below normal water temperatures in the Gulf of Alaska, right? Because what you have happening is you have a persistent upper level trough in the Gulf of Alaska, and whenever you get those storms to move over those northeastern Pacific and Gulf of Alaska waters, it stirs the water up and you bring cooler water up from below to the surface, the water surface. So we're seeing some cooling there in a similar region. We saw the cooler temperatures in the water there in December of 2000. So let's keep an eye on these blue areas as we progress in through November and see what happens by December to see what it looks like. You notice we do have again, on the left-hand side, this is December 2000, below normal water temperatures, really focused in the central tropical Pacific. We see the below normal waters with the weak La Nina as well for this late October time period. So let's keep an eye on these Pacific, specifically the North Pacific water temperature anomalies. Western Pacific, we saw above normal waters there, north of Guam, southward in the area of the Philippines. We see that right now in October 2025 on the right, and that matches up well with the warmer than normal waters there on the left for December 2000. So I still really do think there are some similarities here between December 2000 and late October 2025 as far as those water temperature anomalies across the Pacific Ocean. Now, let's examine the MJO from 1 October 2000 here on the left to 31 December of 2000, okay? All right, so the red line is what the MJO did back in October of 2000. You notice it started in phase 2, and then it worked its way through phase 3, phase 4, up towards phase 5 by the end of October, and then into phase 6. And where the green line starts here, it generally shows you the MJO It is generally going to start in phase 7, work its way weekly into phase 8, phase 1, and then back around by late November into 3 and 4. What's happening in the forecast of the MJO here on the right, the Jeffs V12 extended, showing the black line where the MJO has been. So we started here in phase 2, and we worked our way in mid-October was phase 2, then 19 to 21 October we're into phase 3. Look at this. 19 to 21 October, it's a little bit further up into phase 5 back in October of 2000 with the red line. But then we notice the MJO forecast here in the middle graphic going into phase 5, phase 6, into mid-November, and over to phase 7 by late November. And we see that over here, the red line, we're working generally in the same side of the MJO phase diagram as we did in October of 2000. And so we're seeing MJO phase 3, phase 4, phase 5, into phase 6 there in October. And then again, the green line November represents the green line represents November, showing the MJO in phase 7, phase 8, 1, 2, and 3. And we don't go out quite that far deeply into December on the forecast here in the middle on the right hand graphic, but kind of showing you similarities in MJO, how it's moving on to 3, 4, 5, and even 6. And the forecast for right now is, where it's been. It was in 3, it was in 4, is in 5 now, and moving into phase 6. And here's a European MJO forecast from today, Halloween, through the 14th of November, showing the MJO into phases 3, 4, 5, working its way into week 6 and 7. So we're on the same side of the MJO phase diagram as we were in October and November of 2000. So I find that interesting. Looking at the October 500 millibar, oh boy, I misspelled millibar up here, but October 500 millibar height anomalies here. This is October of 2000 on the left-hand side, courtesy of the Climate Prediction Center. Oranges and yellows, upper level ridging, blues, upper level troughs. So where were our troughs and ridges in October of 2000? We saw below normal heights and troughing generally across the northwestern and north central Pacific. We saw above normal heights across south central Canada up toward Hudson Bay. And we saw below normal heights generally along the eastern seaboard across the western Atlantic. And then we also saw some higher than normal heights from northwestern Europe to Greenland, generally associated there with the orange colors. What's happening here primarily, I just took a snapshot from the 28th of October, and we see below normal heights generally across the north central Pacific. We do see above normal heights in a similar location, not as strong back in October 2000 across southern Canada and Hudson Bay, much stronger here in late October, this October of 2025, right from south central Canada up through Hudson Bay, but in a similar position if you compare October 2000 versus October 2025. And then we also see these below normal heights associated with troughing off the eastern seaboard today in late October 2025, vice October of 2000. We look at the August 2000 versus August 2025 temp anomalies. Okay, oranges indicate above normal temperatures, blue below normal temperatures. So this was August of 2000 on the left, showing below normal temperatures in the Pacific Northwest, below normal temperatures into the mid-Atlantic, up towards New England, and then there were above normal temperatures in October 2000 across Kansas. Now, for August of 2025, a little bit different, right? We see above normal temperature anomalies across the Pacific Northwest. We also do not see in August of 2025 the warmer than temperature anomalies there in Kansas, but we do generally see the similar trend on the eastern seaboard for below normal temperature anomalies there in August of 2025 here on the right versus August of 2020. We look at September of 2000 temp anomalies here on the left, below normal temperature anomalies across Pacific Northwest down to California, above normal temperature anomalies from Iowa through the southern plains of Texas, and then below normal temperature anomalies there in the mid-Atlantic up to New England, even down to Georgia back in September of 2000. On the right-hand side, this is September 2025 for the comparison. Much different as far as the Pacific Northwest, well above normal temperature anomalies across Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, and western Montana. We did not see that in October, or rather September of 2000 here on the left. We also saw above normal air temperatures across the upper Midwest, the northern plains. We did see slightly below normal temperatures from Virginia, coastal Virginia, eastern Virginia southward into the Carolinas. Much more widespread below normal temperature anomalies from Maine to Georgia in September of 2000. We look at October of 2000 here on the left, showing below normal temperature anomalies into the western U.S., above normal temperature anomalies across the central U.S. to the Midwest, and then below normal temperature anomalies along the southeastern coast up towards the coastal sections of the mid-Atlantic. And I'll tell you, this similarity here for October is not that far off. Now, you do notice here on the right-hand graphic, this is much warmer in October of 2025 from Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, up through Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and eastern Dakotas. It was much warmer this October in 2025 as compared to October of 2000 here on the left. But just look at the placement of the coloring. Below normal temperatures match up pretty well from the Pacific Northwest down through California from October 2000 to October of 2025. Where the above normal temperature anomalies occurred across the central U.S. and the Midwest matches up fairly well. October 2000 on the left, October 2025 on the right, as well as this slightly below normal temperature anomalies there across coastal mid-Atlantic down through the coastal Carolinas, and slightly below normal into southeastern Georgia and to eastern Florida. That matches up pretty well in the pattern here, right? Now, what happened in the 2001 winter season? December of 2000 here on the left, blue below normal, yellows and oranges above normal temperatures. So we saw quite a bit of below normal temperatures in December of 2000 across the northern plains, down to the Midwest, all the way to the eastern seaboard, including the mid-Atlantic and the southeastern U.S., while above normal temperatures were across the desert Southwest into California. On the right-hand side, temperature anomalies for January of 2001, it got much warmer, well above normal temperatures across Montana, the Dakotas, Minnesota, as well as down in Nebraska. And we had below normal temperature anomalies across Florida, the deep southern U.S. there, into parts of the mid-Atlantic and Ohio Valley. And we saw below or above normal temperature readings as well across Washington State and Oregon. In February 2001, temperatures warmed up drastically across the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, down to the southeastern U.S. Florida warmed up drastically in February 01, so well above normal air temperatures there, and then below normal temperatures across the northern plains, Nebraska, eastern Montana, Wyoming, into western parts of Minnesota, and also cooling down across the western United States as a whole from Washington State down to California. We looked at what happened precipitation anomaly-wise. December 2000 here on the left, yellows and oranges drier than normal, and then white indicates near normal precip. If it's green, it's slightly above normal precip. For December 2000, it was very dry across the mid-Atlantic. It was also extremely dry across coastal sections of Washington State, Oregon, and down the coast of California. On the right-hand side, we see generally continued very dry conditions for January of 2001, well below normal precip, western Washington State, Oregon, down to northern California. Also drier than normal across North Dakota into northern Minnesota, some of the eastern Great Lakes. Well below normal precip for January 2001 across western Kentucky and western Tennessee, and very dry up and down the eastern seaboard again. Very dry across the mid-Atlantic in January 2001. In February of, oh boy, I messed up there. I meant to show you February 01, and I apologize for that, but this is February 2000, not what I was looking for as I was putting this together. But in general, we did see drier than normal. I did look at February 2001. It was drier than normal across the mid-Atlantic once more. If we look at the 500 millibar height anomalies, this was December of 2000 here on the left, showing a lot of strong upper level ridging there. Generally located across northwestern Europe up toward the North Pole area. We also saw above normal heights generally extending to the west of Greenland. Above normal heights across western Canada, associated with a positive PNA. And then we saw the blue colors across the mid-Atlantic and the eastern U.S. as in general. Below normal heights and troughing across the eastern U.S. in December of 2000. We did see a stronger area of low pressure there, generally across the north central Pacific. Over here on the middle, we see the 500 millibar height anomalies for January 2001, showing very strong upper level ridging into parts of Western Canada and troughing generally extending into the Midwest or the East Coast, and above normal heights across southern Greenland, working their way over into the Arctic area there once again. And over on the right-hand side, we see the 500 millibar heights and anomalies for February 2001. Things have changed a little bit here across the Pacific. In February '01, we see stronger upper level heights north of the Hawaiian Islands. We do see upper level ridging signature, although not as strong in February '01 there across Western Canada, and higher than normal heights across portions of Hudson Bay over to southern Greenland and across just generally to the northwest of Europe. What happened in 2001 as far as the Arctic Oscillation from December 2000 to March '01? Look how strongly negative Arctic Oscillation was mid to late December, right on into mid-January. So about a 30-month period of very negative Arctic oscillations going on from mid-December to mid-January. We look at the North Atlantic Oscillation, the NAO, we had below basically negative NAO to kick off December, and then conditions kind of transition to positive NAO heading into mid-February and drop back negative for the NAO into late December, and then kind of not as strongly negative, not as strongly positive into January, a little bit strongly positive as far as NAO beyond mid-February. Looking at the PNA, the Pacific North American pattern, look at how strongly positive things were really from mid-December right on just beyond mid-January. We had a pretty persistent positive PNA mid-December past mid-January before things kind of transition back and forth between positive and negative in early February. But it was a December and January predominantly influenced by a positive PNA in the winter of 2001. All right, so now let's move on to our teleconnections update. Of course, I do a more extensive video once a week. This is not the purpose of this video, but I want to kind of break down a few teleconnection updates here. This was issued the 30th of October, 2025. This is the EPS AO 50 per term member 46-day forecast for the Arctic Oscillation through mid-December. All right, so we see in early November, we're looking at a positive phase of the Arctic Oscillation, and it remains fairly positive right on through 11 November. And then this solid green line here, we see a little dip to negative there right around the 14th to 15th of November. The Arctic Oscillation then goes neutral through about the 25th of November before dropping more significantly negative from 26 November through about 11 December. We're going to have to watch this period for the AO and see what happens there. Looking at the European EPS NAO 50 per term member forecast, 46-day outlook out to mid-December. For the NAO North Atlantic Oscillation, we're seeing a positive phase of the NAO, pretty strongly positive in early November, and then eventually it works its way down to neutral territory after the 11th of November. Neutral conditions for the NAO through about 26 November, and it also drops off to negative territory from 26 November through the first week of December, about the 4th of December or so, neutral after that. And then the European EPS EPO Eastern Pacific Oscillation 50 per term members through 15 December, strongly positive EPO. We're seeing that very distinctly right now across the Northeast Pacific, where we got a strong closed upper level low and troughing in the Northeast Pacific and the Gulf of Alaska, situated to the north of higher than normal heights, further to the south, closer to the Hawaiian Islands. So a strongly positive EPO in early November, closer to neutral around the 5th of November, goes back positive, remains positive, the EPO, right on through about the 19th of November, and then it dips negative around the 24th, 25th of November, and then it remains negative the last few days of November, just beyond the Thanksgiving holiday, through about 12 December, a negative EPO. So this is another trend we have to watch. With a negative EPO, we flip things around. We put a ridge, more ridging into the northeastern Pacific and troughing there to the southeast of the Hawaiian Islands. Here is the European EPS PNA, Pacific North American 50-perturb member update. This is a 46-day forecast out to 15 December, showing a strongly positive PNA. That does transition closer to neutral around the 3rd of November. It goes back positive, though, and remains positive in the PNA all the way through about 12 November. And then we see more of a neutral PNA through about 1 December, then slightly positive in early December. Here is the latest QBO update. We're in the descending easterly phase of the QBO. And, kind of tying that in, I tied the stratospheric polar vortex in with the QBO because in easterly QBO winters, which we're expecting this upcoming winter, you typically get a weaker stratospheric polar vortex. Now, take a look here. I wanted to show you a rehash. We had an easterly QBO in the winter of 2001, and that particular winter saw a sudden stratospheric warming event, which occurred late in the winter. On 11 February 2001, we saw a sudden stratospheric warming. And you look at these different dates back from early 2001, we have 15 January. We have more of a circular or symmetrical shaped stratospheric polar vortex. These solid dark height lines are more circular in nature around the 15th of January 01. 31 January 2001, we started seeing some upper level heights starting to rise in the stratosphere. We also saw more of elongation now of the polar vortex by late January 01. So this upper level, higher heights and these higher pressure is starting to push against the polar vortex and make it more elongated by 31 January 2001 in the upper right. 17 February 01. So this would have been 6 days after the sudden stratospheric warming event. And look what happens in 30 millibars there in the stratosphere. We see higher than normal heights now taking over the North Pole area, and we have more of a stretched out. Looks like we have two pieces of a stratospheric polar vortex. So it's looking like we're leaning more towards a split vortex by 17 February 01. And you see how the vortex has shifted off the poles and broke apart into two vortices. And then over here on the far right, we see 28 February 01, a weaker reflection of the stratospheric polar vortex then. So this really walks you through how the stratospheric polar vortex changed in early 2001 during that 2001 winter season. Just the one sudden stratospheric warming and a weakening of the polar vortex in the stratosphere. It was more towards later winter, however. Now, what happened after the sudden stratospheric warming event early 2001? Look at the weakening stratospheric polar vortex after that happened. This was the surface result with temperature anomalies in the greens, well below normal, blue below normal temperature anomalies. So after the sudden stratospheric warming in February, and the weakening stratospheric polar vortex, we saw much colder temperatures down to Texas, Iowa, Missouri, into the deep south, Mississippi, Alabama, western and central Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and even below normal temps all the way up and down the eastern seaboard from Maine down towards Georgia. So what I'm getting at here is research has shown it. Dr. Judah Cohen has shown it in his research. It's usually about a 30-day lag, between a sudden stratospheric warming event, the weakening vortex, and the surface reflections here across the eastern and central U.S. So my primary winter season analog still remains strongly entrenched in the 2001 winter season. Similarities are in place. We have the weak La Nina that happened in 2001, transition to ENSO neutral. We saw the easterly QBO in the 2001 winter season. And we have the same exact forecast this winter. We have the weak La Nina for the 25-26 winter, transitioning to ENSO neutral during the winter. The easterly QBO will be in place as well. So I still really, really like, additionally, those sea surface temperature anomalies in the North Pacific. Is it perfectly matched? Are the SST, the sea surface temperature anomalies, is it perfect? No. Will it exactly be perfectly placed, the warmer anomalies, the colder water temperature anomalies? Not really. But I'm watching the trends here in the North Pacific, south of the Aleutian Islands. These blue areas across the northern and northeastern Pacific have recently, these waters have cooled. and these blue areas are continuing to expand now. And we have the warmer waters beneath these cooler waters. And I'm really curious to see how this all pans out. We have the La Nina signatures in both cases. It's not perfect, right? But it's pretty similar to me. It looks pretty similar across the North Pacific. It has the potential as we get towards December for this water temperature anomaly chart on the right to look a lot like that December 2000 water temperature chart. We've seen the MJO similarities with the path. How are we transitioning in the MJO right now? Well, we were in 3 and 4 and 5. We're in 5 now, and we're working our way into 6 and 7 on both the Jeff's V12 forecast and the European forecast here on the right. Same thing happened back in 2000, October through November. We had a similar transition through the different MJO phases, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I like those similarities. I like the similarities, the 500 millibar height anomalies, October 2000 here on the left, and then October 2025 on the right, where, we're seeing some of the placements of the upper level troughs and where the ridging occurred. Now, will the strengths match up exactly? Absolutely not. But I'm just looking at the color schemes here on the left from October 2000 versus October 2025. Okay, I'm just looking at where were the ridges, where were the troughs. And then, I did a comparison, August 2025, it's been below normal. It was below normal month across the mid-Atlantic. It was below normal in August 2000. September 2000, it was below normal across the mid-Atlantic, slightly below normal across eastern Virginia, not as widespread in September 2025 across the mid-Atlantic as far as cooler than normal anomalies, and also those anomalies didn't extend to New England. But there's a second consecutive month of below normal temperatures for southeast Virginia and Hampton Roads, October 2000. I really like October 2000 temp anomalies on the left versus October 2025 on the right. Of course, it's much warmer this October across Texas all the way up towards Minnesota, eastern Dakotas, okay? But look at the color schemes. Above normal, where it is. Central U.S., below normal, where is it? Mid-Atlantic along the coastal sections of New England, where is it on the west coast of the U.S.? And then what happened? Very cold December in December 2000. January 2001, still fairly cold. February across the east and mid-Atlantic warmed up. Very dry overall. The La Nina influence to start the winter kind of lingered, even though we transitioned to ENSO neutral. The drier than normal conditions across the eastern seaboard and the deep south and southeastern U.S. lingered all the way through the whole winter. So I like the similarity still. I want to put together a quick, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I want to put together a quick video here. Here's where to find me for more information. I wish everybody a great, happy weekend. Enjoy your Halloween here this evening if you've got trick-or-treaters. That's all I got for now, everybody. Just a quick video again, giving you some updates on things. And that's all I got. Take care, everybody. Until next time, God bless.